Henry McClure live. I'm live and I'm live. I'm in studio 104 with Braille Watson today. And today I'd like to talk to you about the need for one planning commission in Shawnee County. And I want to give you a few moments. I want to give you a few examples. I want to give you a little history on why I think it's important. So I was a part of the Metropolitan Planning Commission, and that was when you had people appointed from Shawnee County that lived in Shawnee County and those that lived within the city limits of Topeka. And the Metropolitan Planning Commission got disbanded years ago, and I know why, and I'll tell you why. But also I want to tell you why it's so important to put these planning commissions back together. Having two planning commissions in a community that is basically Shawnee County. Because what affects us, the city limits of Topeka and Shawnee County with the population, we're really one community. And today, with having two planning commissions, it creates a problem because of what, let's call it the 3-mile radius. And even if it was 1 mile, but today, if you're out in the 3-mile area, you have to go to the city of Topeka through their planning commission and talk to the city's councils or the city of Topeka's planning department. And I personally think that this is a bad idea because, well, it's also what's unfair to the applicant is if you're in the 3-mile radius, you can't go to your county commissioner and complain about what's going on. And you didn't elect the city council person because the city council person is only in the city limits of Topeka. So you don't really have an elected official. You're being governed by just the people inside the city limits. And so are you seeing where I'm going with this? You don't have an elected official that has authority over your issue. So if you have like-minded people that are part of one metropolitan planning commission, you've got influences from just county residents and city residents. And what's most important is that you've got somebody that was appointed and a point of view of somebody just from the county versus somebody just from the city. And I think this will add more balance for future development. Let's just say, for example, that the city planning is more interested in you developing in the core of the city as opposed to developing out on the fringe. They could literally create hoops that you would have to jump through on the edge of the 3-mile radius, which maybe out in the county, you don't need as stringent development. Having sidewalk, curb and gutter might not make sense, or developing to city standards or certain standards might not make sense for your development. But if the planning department wanted to exercise their will, it might be unfair to the guy. And maybe the guy moved out into the county to get away from city government, in the first place. So what I'm worried about is how many projects have just died because of the rules and regulations. And if you've got more public involvement, if you've got an opportunity for somebody to come to the planning commission, a metropolitan planning commission, you've got a better opportunity to maybe have level heads decide, but also too, it's a chance for the public to decide what they want in that area. So it's not up to a gatekeeper to decide. I'm telling you, when guys like Cody Foster go down to the planning commission or go down to the city council, when you think about the capital that guy's invested in downtown Topeka, when guys like him go down there and say, I'm tired, I'm exhausted from the rules and regulations of development in the community, you've got a problem. And we've got to attract capital. And every time a little project out in the county happens, you're able to assess, he's adding value to the community. And maybe a planning director that is more open-minded, that thinks more of the boundaries being Shawnee County, then it will spur development. There's a silent majority of people that won't come in and complain. There's truly a lot of people that just don't have the energy to try to cope with the bureaucratic issues of planning and development. And it's sad when a guy like Cody Foster says, you've worn me out. So what I'm telling you is today, we've got to make it to where guys like me can come in and develop. And it doesn't matter what your last name is. You're getting an equal treatment. And I think the best way to create that equality is by having more people. If somebody is really against some development that's going out in Shawnee County and it's all Shawnee County people, so that can be considered. And at the time then, if something needed to be voted on finally, well, then it would go to the county commission. It would go to the elected officials would have the final say. I mean, there's times I've had project that the planning commissions have, the Metropolitan Planning Commission disapproved. And then I was able to take it to, say, the city council, and the city council said, well, I think this is something we'll go ahead and get approved. We'll go ahead and approve it. It was like Cody's example was the planning commission approved the project, but yet the landmarks commission didn't approve the project. And then it took another layer of going in and asking for the city council to override the landmarks commission, which they did. But here's the sad truth is, at the time, the Metropolitan Planning Commission was the MPO. What's the MPO? The MPO was the Metropolitan Planning Organization. And what we did was we regulated where the federal, or we were supposed to regulate where the federal funds go to into a community. So as Eisenhower created this, the interstate program, and when Bob Docking was president or was governor, eventually there became a rule that said, well, we need to get public involvement for where those federal funds go. Well, the rule was if you were an MPO, you had to have public involvement. And you had the city turn in a capital improvement program, and a county submit the capital improvement program, and then you put this out to the community. So people from the county could be involved, people from the city could be involved, And through that public involvement, you'd pick the best projects. Well, there might be a case where the community said, you know what, we really need, as a community, we need to give all these funds to the county and the county projects. And so you're supposed to look at it project by project by the need of the community. And so what happened was the county never even turned in a capital improvement program. And what they were doing was just taking the federal funds that came in, divided by 2, and distributed the money. Well, when we were acting as the MPO, we had our MPO hat on. We stopped everything, and we wouldn't approve the money until the county turned in their budget. And then we were actually the first planning commission to ever have public involvement. And now the public involvement is done by the MTPO. But really, when was the last time you were exposed to when's the last time you got an invitation in the community to come see where the federal dollars are going on our roads? I can't remember. But I do remember the last time I was at the library and they had this conversation. I was talking about getting Southwest Traffic Way put up. I've got an image here that I'd like to show of where Southwest Traffic Way, and this road was called Elevation Parkway, but over the years, I think it's been on the books for 30 to 40 years. But this road you could basically go from 41st and Wanamaker, or really 41st and Urish, all the way to Lake Shawnee. And this would be a great road to put in to connect. It would basically create a ring road around our city. So it's a perfect time to get Southwest Traffic Way exposed. But you've got 650 acres that we're finally doing some planning on. You know, I've waited for 5 years in the wings for this planning. And absolutely one of my best clients, friends, business partners ever, we've got the resources and we've been just like pushed off to the side, which is a little bit of aggravation, but I'm going to try to get Dana Kay to move forward with the zoning at 37th and Gage on the property that we own. I'm going to pull up an image of the stream buffer, and you can see also I have an image of all the graphics that can be developed on the east side of the stream buffer. I'm not sure if that's readily available. But I've got 36 acres to develop there. But let's just focus on the front 18 acres that borders Gage Boulevard at 37th Street. That 18 acres represents 2.83% of the 650 acres that will be looked at. But simultaneously to the city looking at this, the county ought to be looking at this. Here's a classic case where the community needs, because not all of that land's in the city, but we need to be getting input from the county planning commission as much as the city planning commission. And the need for a metropolitan planning commission, I think, has never been more imminent than today, and how to develop our community and how develop our community when it doesn't matter what your last name is. Create an even playing field so we can attract capital and we can spur development the way the citizens of our county and city want it together. So thanks for this epistle, taking time to hear me out. Henry McClure Live.